You were talking about money, right?
Separate yourself widely from the pack moving forward. That's something that you would be willing to have a discussion about.
Because they didn't get it. They were
probably
like,
didn't get it. Yeah.
To follow up with your clients, to generate more leads. You know what I mean?
Always check to make sure you're recording. The record, yeah.
Clap and I need to start over and all that jazz.
Oh, Lord.
Yep.
We go 5, 4, 3.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Key Factors Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Jones, and this podcast is powered by ReviewMyMortgage.com, the largest index of mortgage programs nationally. And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about luxury living and listing with RoPax. And without further ado, I want to introduce two awesome people in our industry and I would say local celebrities in our town, Robert and Stephanie. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Really good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So as we kick this thing off, I want people out there to know who we're talking about. Some know who you are, some don't. And I want a moment for you guys to kind of take us through where you've been, where you came from, and how you got to where you are. Who wants to start?
Ladies first.
There you go.
Lady.
Originally, I'm from California, used to be a professional horse trainer. So when I got into real estate 11 years ago, I literally knew nothing. I didn't realize I was in sales.
Ha!
I just thought, oh, you get your license and the phone rings. Well, that was the furthest thing from the truth. So
I think everyone thinks that.
Yeah. 11 years ago. I mean, it almost was that way around that time, right? I got in 10 years ago. So at that time, rates were super low. Everybody was buying and everybody was jumping into the industry. So you got in right before then.
yes, the first year I was in, I went to, I started with Keller Williams. They had a great training program. I believe back then they were like on the Forbes list for one of the best training programs in the country. And so I really did. Starting with good training was a big part of it. And then of course, like any new agent, you have to hunt. And
Absolutely.
I had to make cold calls and called expireds and for sale by owners. And so I really had to learn how to sell when I knew not what I was doing.
Right. Right.
So it was a whole, growth period for me.
Getting uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
Getting
Cussed at, hung up on,
I'm sure.
But it gave me grit. It gave me a thick skin and helped me pave the way to where I am here today.
And obviously, without having to say, but I'll say it anyway, definitely worth it because look where you guys are now.
100%.
Right.
Do it again.
So Robert, how about you, man?
Gosh, this year was my 31st year in the business. I started off as watching my mom. She was a realtor back in the day. She was a mega agent for her
That's
time.
awesome.
And, I was the one that would listen to her negotiate and take listings and talk to people. So I had an unfair advantage when I did finally get my license and decided to be a realtor because I didn't know what else I wanted to be when I
Sure.
grew up.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Me too, at 50. I knew the terminology and the lingo and the mannerisms and, what to do or what not to do. And I hit the ground running and I've never looked back. I mean, I've done other things business venture wise, but I'm actually having the most fun ever in my career just because of what I've learned over these 31 years, but also that I get to do it next to the person that I love the most.
That's awesome.
It's just, for me, it's just fun.
That is pretty awesome. And I can tell you, I work very closely with my wife, and it is a blessing to be able to share that kind of interaction on a daily, regular basis, and at the same time, make money while you're doing it, right?
Sure.
Helping people,
Yeah.
In turn, making money.
Yeah.
So that being said, and I think they're being a little modest, guys. So Robert and Stephanie have a combined 43 years of real estate experience with over 2,500 sold homes, sold properties, and over 650 million. 650 million. That's a big number. How do you get there? And how did RoPax become RoPax?
Do you want to tell that story?
So the RoPax story was kind of funny. We decided to, we're together, this is going to stick. So why don't we just start working together and let's figure out what our marketing plan is going to look like. And I'm like, well, you're Robert, I'm Paxton, let's go RoPax. And he just looked at me and goes, done. That was it.
We literally spent maybe 15 seconds.
That's awesome.
And we just ran with it. And so then it was funny because people were like, are you a medication? And I'm like, yeah, we solve your real estate problems. I'm like, we should take that to the next
Take
level.
two of us.
Yeah.
And
That's
Call
awesome.
you in the morning.
So yeah, that's how it started.
I mean, what other way would it be? I mean, RoPax, you've got different variations of that, like Paxert.
RoPax sounds so much better.
So much better. So I know that from our experience and us being friends for the last, I think it's been about 4 years now that we really became friends. I've seen some things in you guys that I can simply say is branding. You guys stand behind your brand. You do a great job of painting the picture of your brand. And I don't want to go too far into that just yet, but I do want to hear kind of how your story began in regards to the RoPax. Once you decided to join forces, what was that like? Was it, okay, let's segment, you're doing this piece to it, you're doing the cold calling, I'm going to do this side. What was that like for those out there that are considering joining forces? And I'm going to take it a step further. I believe the future, with the writing on the wall, you're going to see more and more realtors joining forces as time passes.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I would agree wholeheartedly. I will say that when we first really blended together, our first appointment was abysmal. It was horrific because I knew my role, she knew hers, but we didn't know our role.
Right.
And it was funny because we can look back and laugh at that now, but boy, it was a very uncomfortable experience going on that first listing appointment. But there are things that admittedly, even, at that time, 27-ish years that I'd been in the business, that I didn't know well. Yeah. And that she knew amazingly well. So I've learned so much from her side of it and she from me. And where we've met in the middle, I think has just been the absolute most beautiful union of from a professional standpoint to best serve our clients. I mean,
absolutely.
Would you agree?
I think there was a couple of things. Yes, absolutely. But one thing was I was very prospect driven.
Okay.
And he was very marketing driven.
Okay.
So when you have the enhancement of both being prospecting based and marketing based, it's a lot different than being enhanced by one or the other. So we were able to take that, I think, to another level. But I also think that we were real honest with what we were good at and what we weren't good at. And so when it comes to like staging and photography, we wanted to have a consistency, regardless if we were selling a $200,000 house or a $2 million house. We wanted to make sure that it didn't matter. We did it the same every time. So he had relationships, I had relationships, and we took the best people from those relationships and just made them stronger and implemented them in our business. And that's, I think, how we were able to brand our product to be so consistent.
And I think you mentioned a couple of things there that I want to highlight, which number one is being honest about your strengths and weaknesses when it comes time to building a team and going, okay, we're either both going to go at this thing and combine our efforts, or we can go about it methodically with essentially the end in sight. I like to start everything with the end in sight. What do I want the vision of this to look like? And each decision is based upon the goal of getting that outcome. And I feel like you guys did a great job of knowing what you wanted your branding to look like, knowing what your image is going to look like, and what you guys stand for. I know easily that you guys are hardworking. I know that you do what it takes to help your customers. And that most of the time consists of going above and beyond to make it happen.
Yeah.
That's pretty telling. And obviously where we are now, it shows to that. So getting into the luxury side of things, what drove you to wanting, everybody wants to be a luxury listing agent. Everybody wants to work with higher end customers, but some people don't end up getting there. What separated you and why and how did that come about?
I would say, I started my career in that luxury arena at the Dominion, 31 years ago with my mom. I was a backup agent to the backup agent. So early on, I was very comfortable speaking that lingo and learning about appliances, particular, Gaggenau, Wolf, Fisher Paykel, things like that, groin ceilings, particular details that luxury homes have. So it was very second nature for me. Fast forward to when Stephanie and I created RoPax and we started, really hitting heavy in the volume and whatnot. We were doing just that. Tons of volume. It was great. However, our conversation and our experience, I feel, was best suited more towards that luxury end seller or buyer for that matter, just because we knew what we were talking about from our past experiences and just, marketing in general and past sales experience. So,
and when you say that, it leads me to take a step back and really hone in on what is luxury? what is luxury lifestyle? What is luxury listings? People think that it is just simply a price point. What are your thoughts on that?
Go ahead.
I mean, that's a really good question. It does start with price point because, when you look at the numbers across the board, there is a point where you start, your pre-luxury and then you hit that luxury mark. But when it comes to lifestyle, there's a different kind of clientele that is not, numbers aren't always an issue. It's more about the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And so those type of customers, you're just showing them the conversation is going to be completely different. It's not about my needs and wants anymore. It's now about everything's about my wants and how I live my day-to-day life. And, am I flying to work? Like we had clients going to, flying to San Francisco. Well, if you're going to be close to the airport, is that, it's important to you, where do you want to be? School districts, all of those things, if they're raising families. So it's a different conversation versus just the normal, we all need shelter, right?
Right.
But it's extreme shelter.
For your extreme person,
exactly.
the extreme lifestyle or what someone would onlooker think is extreme, but to these folks
is normal.
That's everyday
It's
life.
normal.
We toured a house the other day that had a helipad.
Wow.
And to him, it was very normal.
Right.
So it's funny because I was visiting with a good friend of ours that sells in Beverly Hills, and luxury is kind of skewed. What might be luxury to one person might be entry level to another one who's
Correct.
in a luxury segment.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, we see these $1 million listings, things of that nature, and it almost looks fake because of the ease of access, the mentality that they go about it. But I think one thing that I see that is very common within luxury listers or agents is the lifestyle that they lead.
Right.
And it's almost, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost in starting, you kind of have to fake it till you make it type situation.
Lord knows I did.
Yeah. I mean, tell us about that, Robert. I mean, the idea and concept, because I can tell you personally, I had to do the same thing.
Right.
You got to fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying lie, but at the end of the day, do your research and know that when you get hit with a question about different refrigerators, you know what the hell you're talking about.
You need to know. I mean, years ago, I had a dear friend of mine, agent, who, poor guy, he admittedly said, Robert, I'm clueless. I don't know how to explain this house. Please help me. So I went with him on his showing with his client so I could help build him up just because the poor guy did not know what, he was talking about. And it just comes with knowledge.
Right.
One thing I've learned from Stephanie is, she is a voracious reader. To the nth degree. And now I've embraced that. Years ago, I was a kid. I loved to read. And I've learned so much watching what she does.
That's awesome.
And that, a lot of agents don't want to put the time in.
No, that is very true. And I think that's true with any profession. We as humans tend to be quite lazy. I'll say it. And most of the people listening to this right now are trying to figure out how to grow your business, how to do certain things. And the simple answer is do more. Whatever you're doing, do more. So that being said, you guys is seeking of doing more. Where did you decide to do more? More marketing efforts, more, you tell me, more calls?
So many things you hit on there. I'm not a fake it till you make it type of person. I'm more of a be.
She's bad and bougie, y'all.
No, I really think you have to be, do, have. And so in order to be, we will go literally to Houston to become inspired, because when you go to Houston, there's an energy there. There's a level of money there that there just isn't here in San Antonio.
I agree 100% with that.
So when you're driving down, by Post Oak or, River Oaks, and you're seeing Ferraris every 5 cars or, Rolls Royces or all these high-end property cars, and these beautiful homes, you get inspired by that. So for us, it's okay, if you immerse yourself, Tony Robbins talks about immersion. If you immerse yourself in that, and then you come back to a town like San Antonio, it gives you confidence to talk to anybody.
Absolutely.
Because being in that moment and then you're doing it, and then eventually you start attaining it and having it. So I'm a big believer in, the fake it till you make it. The fact that you're even trying is not faking.
I agree with that. And I think people, I think people get that concept skewed as lying. And that's what it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not lying. No. It is. For example, like you mentioned, going to Houston, a lot of people ask me, why do you go to Las Vegas so much, Mark? Perspective. Truly, it is to have conversations with people that I don't get to have conversations with here. Not that they're not here, but I don't have access to them as often, whereas I'm sitting at a blackjack table playing $100 a hand, and the guy next to me is a millionaire. Yeah. We get to talk about things that I don't normally get to talk about at home. you know?
There's a different energy.
100%. It almost brings you to a level of when you get back here, I don't want to say that you feel superior, but I think you said it best is those things are thrown at you and you can overcome them because you've immersed yourself in them. It's almost osmosis. You get yourself around that and you're going to become it if that's what your goal is to.
Sure.
You know?
I would agree with that.
So continuing down the path of luxury, what in you all's opinion separates you from the other luxury people out there? Because everybody tends to, they sell one luxury home and all of a sudden they add luxury agent. And we all know.
No, they don't do that.
No BS on this show, y'all.
I will say that it's funny, even after all of these years, I still won't personally label myself as a luxury agent. I don't feel I've earned that title because I have not learned everything yet. That's my
I love that.
opinion.
No, I love that.
I want to continue to learn about it and, the lifestyle and the things that go with it. I feel like I'm continuing to immerse myself in that. Like now I wear suits every single day. For 2.5 years, I wasn't.
Right.
I got out of that. COVID took me out of that. I was in jeans and a t-shirt, jeans and a t-shirt.
Board shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah, driving my truck, I told Stephanie, I'm like, I'm exhausted. I mean, we're in the paint hard.
Yeah.
And again, I'll go back to where our experience is best served is in that upper tier market. And I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to do that, then I need to act a certain way. I have to dress a particular way that I'm comfortable with. It makes me feel good about sold the truck, got a Range Rover. It's like kind of full circle.
Right.
If you will.
I think a lot of agents are intimidated by the luxury market, especially when you are dealing with other luxury agents and you're negotiating. It's like, how am I negotiating for my client? But when you work with them, you realize some of them aren't that good and they're just people. And so it's really not as scary when you do start negotiating with them, even on a lower end deal. Like if you're a new agent and you're like, have an opportunity to negotiate with somebody that, sells a lot of higher end properties, it kind of gives you confidence because you're like, wait a second, I actually did pretty dang good against this person, or I got what And so I think just working on those negotiation skills and, even just being around an office where somebody else is selling higher end properties and just being in the room, listening to the conversations is so important because it just helps you, when you do your next deal, how to step up. I mean, even if it's a lower end deal, pretend it's not.
I agree. Absolutely. And that is another fake it till you make it. That are you really faking it? No, it's just a concept.
Exactly.
And I think me personally, I've always had friends that are luxury agents, but never really saw the difference in an actual transaction until I came in contact with Ben Kahn.
It's amazing.
And again, I think he's amazing as well. He was the listing agent on the purchase on our last home. And there was a undeniable difference in the way that he does business and the way that I have done business with other agents before in the past. Mind you, Kristen, my wife, was the realtor on the buy sides. There was no commission, nothing like that. But I was very close in that transaction, getting to see how he treated the entire transaction.
Right.
He is used to, which just like you guys, I would imagine, of just getting things done. It's not a matter of let's figure that. No, just get it done because this deserves that level of attention. Does that make sense?
For sure.
So what is your take on that? The difference in your basic listing or a luxury listing?
I think you're dealing with, when you're working with high net people, a lot of time you're working with ego. And so you have to figure out where and who wins. And so you pretty much know where the number is going to be and what, where you have to get to. And you just want to get there as fast and seamless as possible. And sometimes it's having tough conversations, but sometimes with those high net worth clients, they're in the driver's seat and the personality is a little bit different. So sometimes you have to humble yourself a little bit more and take on a little bit more than you would normally, but then you've got to get it together and then deliver it to the, buyer list side, whatever side you're on, to the other agent to get it done.
I gotcha. Okay.
Feel everyone's time, especially when you're in that upper tier net worth category, their time is money. And I want to respect their time. So if we're pitching to someone in regards to a listing or anything else, honestly, there's not a lot of small talk. Sure, there's going to be some connection on a personal level, but then that's it. Because I'm looking at it, their time's probably worth $1,000 an hour. And I know that when someone wastes my time, it's irritating for me personally. So I want to be respectful of their time and like, hey, let's get to the chase. This is what we're going to do. This is the plan that we have. Yada, yada, lay it all out. Because, in that room, we're the professionals. We're not the surgeons or the attorneys or whatever amazing thing it is that they do that they've made their multiple millions on, but we're the specialists in the rooms when it comes to selling their
That's
property.
right. And they see you guys as the expert. And I say it quite often is to stay in your lane. And same concept with buyers, sellers. They're good at what they do best, and that's why they're in the position that they're in. But keep in mind, they hired you to do your job to the best ability so that they don't have to spend any brain cells, time, anything like that, taking away from what they do best. That leads me to, I don't know if it's a tough question, but when you're doing luxury listings, are you guys ever in a situation that you're over leveraged because of the amount of marketing that goes into it, because of the amount of planning, because of the amount of things that in turn a buyer or a seller would pay for? You typically just go, we'll take care of it. Let's keep moving because of the margins. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. You want to answer that?
In this market, no. But some of these really high-end properties are very taste specific and it's not for everyone. And so, setting clear expectations with a seller is really, really important. And I think the ones that don't sell are typically ones where the expectations haven't been set or the client's really hung up on the finish out where they bought, the flooring and materials in the house. And, they're still the highest bidder, I always say, for their home. But, and then when you look at building a home from scratch, like he recently had a transaction where they sold, and you can tell that story, and then, building another home, a new home. But, as far as marketing goes, I think you just set aside a certain amount for what you're going to put into that property.
Right.
But then you also have to be realistic with I think the most important thing is setting expectations on the front side. So you're not wasting money on something that isn't going to sell or is going to be difficult to sell.
And I believe in this market, as you alluded to, it is, and I can't say easy, you sell things a bit faster with, and I'm not going to say less effort, but truly less marketing, less open houses, less print ads, things of that nature. Whereas in the past, I've seen you guys in Luxury Magazine, things of that nature, trying to push properties that typically take a while to sell. And that's historically another reason why folks don't get into that market, because it takes a while and they can't wait for those things. But then you also see things like on HGTV $1 million listings that, oh my God, I'm 30 grand into this thing as the broker. I hope we sell it. And obviously it's theatrical, but at the same time, that's not far off. It does take money to make money.
Yeah. It's a return on our investment. And that's one mistake that some of these agents that are clamoring to be a luxury agent, so to speak, they're not realizing the amount of money that you have to spend on the front end. We take on a $1-2 million house. There's several $1,000s cash out of our pocket, that we want to see an ROI on.
In addition to the threads, in addition to the wheels, you've got to look and be the part.
Yeah, it's not cheap. It's not cheap, but we're so used to seeing, okay, will this be a good investment of our time, of our resources, of our finances, to see a return. I don't want to paint the picture, though, that everything is about money. Honestly, it's not. At this point in our career, it's not about the money. The money's a byproduct of doing the right thing.
That's right.
For the client, to the absolute best of our abilities. And what Stephanie was alluding to the other day, we had a particular property that we had sold several years earlier to a gentleman. He rehabbed it. It's beautiful. It was his personal house. And then he's like, you know what? I want something bigger. If you could enjoy getting bigger than 6,500 square feet, he needs bigger than 6,500 square feet. So
we are in Texas
here. Yeah, exactly. And, we came up with a strategy to get a multiple offer situation on a $1.9 million home. The funny thing was he would have accepted less than that number. However, we accepted much, much greater than that number. He was pleased. We were pleased. We worked tirelessly for like 4 days.
Sure.
Literally nonstop on that deal.
So do you want to talk about that strategy?
The strategy, for many of these situations, we have to be there personally.
Yeah.
because I just have to take into consideration that odds are the other agent might not know how to sell that home. I mean, every squirrel finds a nut.
Yeah.
And it's great. They can find a luxury buyer, but we have to paint that picture of what the lifestyle is and everything else. Opening the 30-foot doors in the back to paint that, hey, this is how it's going to be at 8 o'clock in the night or 8 o'clock in the morning with your family and blah, blah, blah. And we did that successfully and had multiple offers on that. But had we not been there, because there's so many things that are hidden behind walls and intricacies, they wouldn't know how to sell that.
And I think that you raise a good point, and it is a differentiating factor in regards to a top agent, top producer, top any individual, is not only do they do their job well, but they also foresee what the other person's lack of and fill that need or void, not because they want to outshine. No. They're there to get the job done.
We want the deal to happen.
That's right.
You hit the nail on the head. It has nothing to do with making that other agent look less than. No, we're trying to build them up and making sure that their clients have a great experience.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I like that. So I wanted to add a new segment to this thing, and it's called What Works and What Doesn't. So I've got a list of things, and I want to just fly through them. You guys say yes or no, and then we're going to go back and talk about each one of them because I want to hear your perspective from not only a luxury lifestyle listing agents, but more so from your experience, because you weren't always luxury listings. Matter of fact, I know you guys still do all types of properties, and you have to do that to stay on top, in my opinion. So without further ado, I'm going to run through this list, and you guys say, does it work? Does it not? We'll talk about the why or why not after. Okay. So number 1, lead generation. Does it work?
Yes.
Yes.
Sign writers. Do they work?
Yes.
Asking for referrals. Does it work?
Yes.
How about calling aged leads?
Calling what?
Aged leads.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Aged listings. My bad.
Yes.
Yes. She's the queen of
Those
that.
things. That's awesome. I remember getting a call. It was probably 4 years ago. We were in our Sandy Oaks property, and it was Stephanie calling.
That's
and we had just taken it off.
That's right.
And she called, and I'm like, Stephanie, it's Mark. She's like, what the hell? I'm like, you
remember that.
are crushing it. You keep going. I freaking love that.
Yes,
because you hear people talking about, what can I do to get business?
Right.
How about go and do the things that it takes to get business?
Yes.
Just do them.
Yep.
So as we continue, let's go. How about canceled listings?
Yes.
Open houses?
Yes.
Yes.
Social media?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, let's go back and talk about these things. And I had a feeling that you guys would, agree, but yes, all of these things work. It's about how you do it. It's about how you go about it, how you leverage it. But I want to hear some of the things from you all's perspective on why lead generation works. Let's just go through this thing. Lead generation. How do you guys lead generate?
So as you know,
Machine.
I'm a
She
phone
is.
caller. I love for me, when I'm calling people in their homes, they own a home.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I can make a relationship over the phone, which is really weird because I have friends now I've never even met in person from making cold calls.
Sure.
And we actually met a friend for a brunch one time from cold calls.
That's cool.
And we text about finances and all that stuff all the time because he's a big finance guy. So yes, lead generation is super important. So,
lead generation can look different for everyone. I mean, she is the calling queen. I would never, ever want to go up against her on a phone call. She would slice me like a Ginsu knife. But lead generation could be going to networking events.
Mm-hmm.
It could be going to, if you have a friend group of, if your cars, watches, whatever, that could potentially be lead generation as well. So
have you guys within your career ever been at the point that you're actually paying for leads, like a Zillow, Realtor.com, Boomtown, things of that nature?
we've talked about it, but we never have.
We've yet to do it.
Yeah.
I've hired it out and they're not that good. So
Sure.
I took the job back. I would love to fire myself from it, but it's just.
That's awesome. No, you do what works. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
Okay. So moving forward, we'll skip over sign writers, asking for referrals. I think this is something that should be talked about more, should be advocated more. But because it's not, we end up with more business. Why? Because we do it and most don't.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on asking for referrals?
I almost don't ask enough. I need to retrain myself to ask more. But the vast majority of my personal business is referral based.
Yeah.
I'm blessed that I've been doing it for 31 years. So yes, I get a lot of referrals, but you have to actively ask for those things. And what we've learned is the best time to ask for them is while you're in the act of your real estate transaction.
100%.
Because the people they're in the paint, they're excited, they're talking about their house and blah, 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 and they're going to have a great experience with us. Even if something goes sideways, we're going to work tirelessly to make sure that whatever it is made right.
Absolutely. And you mentioned something that I have talked about for years, but I want to spotlight it. And that is making sure the right time to ask for referrals. Most people think that the best time is after the transaction's over, once it's closed, all that good stuff. And my theory is nobody has time to even pay attention to you because they're now moving all their stuff, dealing with logistics and all the other things that come along with closing. Whereas for us here at the branch, I used to send gifts to the borrower's work at the middle of the transaction so that we can give the opportunity for the loan officers to ask for referrals with a little bit of bonus added to it.
Sure.
But as they say, the most exciting time for a buyer is when they sign the contract.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on when you should ask for a referral?
I love what you did, though. That's so great to send it to their office. I always like to ask during a win. Like you said, their offer was accepted in this market. Great time to say, hey, if you know somebody else that would like to have their offers accepted, give me a call. Whatever that looks like. But yeah.
Okay, very good. So how about open houses? These days, because of COVID, we've seen less and less open houses. In luxury type listings, there are even fewer opportunities for open houses. What is the concept that you perceive on open houses and what are some best practices?
You should tell them your story about that gigantic win over in Lavaca.
Ooh, I want to hear a big story about a
We had over
Lavaca.
100 people show up and you...
Well, that was
Who's this Lavaca?
That was
Just
a different
kidding.
that was a different time. I think, Misty, our buyer's agent's really good at open houses. Like every time she has one, she gets a client. She's just very personable and people love her. I think the best thing with open houses is like looking at, since there aren't a lot available, is making relationships with agents, listing agents, and really treating that open house like the best you can. I mean, giving the listing agent a thank you note. Thank you for allowing me to hold it open, cleaning it, making sure it smells good, making sure that it's an amazing experience for the seller and it makes the listing agent look good. I think too many times in the past, we've had people want to hold our listings open and they don't really care. They leave it
They
crappy.
show up late.
They're late. There's no signs. So having a strategy planned out and that you can hand to the listing agent and doing what you say you're going to do.
Absolutely. That's huge.
And building those relationships, because if I have an open house or a home that comes on the market that's available I have 2 people I would send that to right away. And I'm sure I'd have 30 agents calling me.
Right.
So,
And I think that we'll talk about from a new agent perspective, when people mention open houses, they think that they're really going to sell that house. That is not the idea of an open house.
No.
I mean, what is the idea of an open house?
It's just a lead generation.
There
to
you
go
go.
back to your number one point.
There
lead
you go.
generation. That's what it is.
And I think as new buyers agents or aspiring listing agents, they go into that with the idea of, I've got to sell this house. And that is the wrong mindset.
They need to
for
sell
an open house.
themselves.
They need to sell themselves. Meet as many people as you can to get through that door. Matter of fact, when I was giving classes back in the day on open houses, I would encourage the agent to print out door hangers, go the day before and stick them on every street on that block. Because the idea is you're going to get people walking through that already live here. They're nosy. They may have a relative or friend that's trying to move to the area, but they're not going to sell that house.
Right.
So acquire all the leads you possibly can from that, right?
100%.
And finally, social media. What are your thoughts?
I am learning TikTok, which is kind of funny.
I love it. And I've seen some of them.
I'm like,
I saw one the other day. I was like, oh, look at her. She's killing it.
I mean, talk about getting out of your comfort zone. I mean, Facebook was so easy for so many years. And it was like, man, if you just posted, you were crushing it. Now it's like, you've got to do Instagram and it's like lifestyle posing. I'm like, I don't sit there and pose in front of a camera. I'm selling real estate.
No way.
So it's really difficult for me because I'm like, it works for some people. So I'm just, here I am
And
trying.
I can tell you, I've grew the Mark Jones team and now into Cantera Loans by way of social media. Yeah. And as social media evolves into like you said, TikTok, I still don't even have a TikTok account. I don't tick or talk, but I do know that it is the future. And in order for you to stay relevant, you've got to evolve with change. Change is inevitable in our industry. And I see that you're putting yourself out there, getting uncomfortable, consistently getting uncomfortable, which means you're continuing to grow. Yeah. And then with you, Robert, you're constantly learning. That is a trait that, in my opinion, most, if not all the successful people that I've had conversations with all have in common, is they're constantly learning. And it allows us to learn from each other when we have things like this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So we talked about luxury, what it means to be a luxury lister or agent, the lifestyle that it brings upon. We've gotten a couple of tips and a couple of perception from you all's perspective on different things that help generate business. I'd like to talk about today's market. What are you guys experiencing out there? Raw transparency. Everybody is talking about there's a lack of inventory. We're talking multiple offers. What's going on in today's market, and what do you think the future holds?
You want to chime in on that?
Yes, since I do make a lot of calls every day, I have a list of people who would sell if they could find something to buy. I think the market right now is frustrating because what is on the market, I think there's not a lot of good stuff. And anything that does come up good is definitely going to be in a multiple offer situation. I feel like a lot of our locals have been priced out of the market because of all the people coming in. And, it's a little sad because they're frustrated. And the other thing that concerns me is all the refis that have been done. So if I'm in a home at 2.5% and, I refied my property, why would I go sell it, pay more, and then pay a higher interest rate? It makes no sense.
Right.
So I'm really concerned for our inventory. I think it's going to be an issue for a couple of years until all this shakes out. But it's, I think a lot of people are, for lack of a better word, landlocked at this point. Yeah. So it's really going to be who's moving in, who's willing to rehab until our builders can, get building.
No, you're right.
That's kind of the...
And I tell my loan officers here, one thing that we have not ran out of and we won't run out for a good while is land. It just needs to be developed.
Right.
Yep. And there's plenty of properties on the market. As a matter of fact, I had Kristen pull a list of all properties in San Antonio that are 30 days and over. And do they have nuances wrong with them? Yeah. But I think our folks in those price ranges are going to have to learn to compromise and get creative.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is, you mentioned it a moment ago, is rehab. You've got to look at multiple options available, because the idea or mindset that you had from 2 years ago, it doesn't fly in this market.
Completely different. I mean, we've had to rethink what we see in the marketplace. I mean, admittedly, myself included, you get so used to doing things a certain way, and you almost, as someone great in the business, as you well know, being amazing as you are, what's coming next. The next step. You can predict it before it happens because you know what you're doing. And this market has really thrown so many curveballs at all of us that we have a certain prediction. Oh, this is going to happen. And then it doesn't happen. Right. Something else completely happens. It's like, oh my gosh, wow, we didn't see that coming. So we have to definitely have an open mind in regards to what's coming down the pipeline, because like Stephanie said, and I agree with her, I mean, I think we're going to be in this predicament for easily a couple more years, at least here in San Antonio.
I agree.
We can speak of San Antonio. I can't speak of Vegas or any of those other markets. That's not our market. Knowing what I know of the past and what I did at Dominion Associated Realtors, 30 years ago, we were lucky. If you had a $2 million house, you were lucky to have 7 showings in 6 months. When you have 17 showings in 48 hours, that's a crazy market.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's not normal.
And half of those showings aren't even showing up to them. It's virtual.
But yeah, many were.
you know?
And recently we had a listing that had brought in 18 offers. And what was odd to me is it wasn't a cheap house. I mean, it was in the mid 300s. We had 6 cash offers from institutions.
Yeah. Wow.
And they were all over ask. So it forced the buyers, the real buyers, to pay way over.
Right.
and waive everything, appraisals. And, it gets risky. At some point, are you underwater? Yes. And how long? Who knows? So it's kind of a conversation like we're having now with people is how long do you want to be in this house?
Right.
Because if you're going to invest this at this point, there is a chance in a few years that this market could flatten and you might be stuck.
So I've been doing these daily mortgage updates, one so that I can expand into YouTube. I'm finally doing the YouTube thing.
Not TikTok, but YouTube.
Not TikTok, but YouTube. But it has allowed me to become way more educated in regards to current events, what's happening in our market trends, data, because I'm looking at it every morning and every evening. And what I'm seeing is our buyers in San Antonio are competing with not only outside of the state buyers, but also people like Austin. That market has gone absolutely crazy. Yeah. And the people coming from California or whatnot are totally used to driving an hour, 2 hours to commute on their daily life. So they go, all right, let's go to Austin. Nah, let's go to San Antonio where we can scoop up a property and only have to pay $30,000 over versus $100,000 over.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would even take it a step further is to say that all of the folks seeking the, let's say, below 300 price range may end up having to leave the city at some point if they want home ownership, or the alternative
100%.
is being stuck in a rental that is overpriced as well,
Rental rates have skyrocketed.
Right. So what do you guys foresee the value? I've got my prediction on the values within, I'm not going to say all of Texas, but at least San Antonio. What do you think?
I still think they're going to continue to go up. That's just the reality of it. I mean, it's simple supply and demand. The demand moving into Texas, San Antonio specifically, but Texas in general, it's coming in. Years ago in 07, 8, 9, when I saw a lot of investors purchasing in this market, those were investment properties. What we're seeing now, it's families coming in. And I think that's where this emotional buying gets in, and people are coming in from out of state and they've got bucketfuls of money because they just cashed out over there. And like Stephanie said, it's definitely, I will agree 1,000% with her comment, it's definitely pricing the San Antonian out of this market. But I just don't see that changing. I don't see the market flattening. It will eventually. It has to. It can't just go on forever.
Right.
But easily the next couple of years, it's going to go up.
I'll take it a step further. You guys can agree or shed some light. I believe that we won't see a flatten, and here's why. Historically, if you look at Texas, we've never gone backwards as far as property values. We have been lucky in a very inexpensive cost of living, and for the lifestyles that we lead, it's very cost efficient, whereas you look at places like California to where they're $1,000 square foot properties, and you're talking a 1,000 square foot home. And here in Texas, we haven't seen those types of jumps yet, but yet everybody's moving here. So with all of the opportunity that's still available, in the grand scheme of things, we're still fairly cheap when it comes to the grand scheme of things. My theory is that evolution will take place. I don't know if it's 10, 15, 20 years down the road, but the idea is across the board, the United States will be more of an even average type situation because people will then migrate to where and what fits them best. Does that make sense? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to also depend on wage increases because San Antonio typically is in a high net worth area.
Correct.
And will employers start calling people back to work and to the office? So I think when you look at inflation, you look at interest rates, when you look at supply and demand, and you look at the overall view of the market, I think, unfortunately, the lower end market, I don't think it's going to exist anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
I think you're going to have to be a wealthy person to own property.
I have to agree with you on that. And I think that as people wait longer and longer, you're putting yourself in that category
100%.
faster and faster.
Sure.
It's unfortunate, but there are plenty of folks out there that are actually qualified right now, but are waiting for the perfect property to come up.
Or they're waiting for the drop.
Yeah, they're waiting for the interest rates to drop. They're waiting for the property values to drop. Guys, it's not going to happen.
I don't know how it is that they have this crystal ball that we don't have. Having done personally over 2,500 transactions between the two of us, it's like, what do you know that we don't know?
Please tell me. What are you reading?
Exactly.
Who's your person? Jesus.
Who's your sage?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is sad. It's sad, but at the same time, it is reality.
Yeah.
So I think the sooner we can have conversations like this and bring them to the public, maybe they'll start to get it before they do price themselves into a rent forever situation.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing, I think.
Okay.
It's a real thing in California.
Mhm.
It's a real thing in New York.
Yep.
It's a real thing in these places that are major hubs for business, money, entrepreneurship, evolution, growth, innovation, all the things that make United States great.
Mm-hmm.
And with Texas without all the nonsense. But I think it's just telling. It's telling to what the future holds. And we have to be careful how we tread moving forward. But also at the same time, education is going to be the key to this. Yeah. Really.
I would agree.
So that being said, guys, do you have anything to add? I think we're doing great on time. I know you got to hit the road here in a sec, but do you guys have anything to add to our listeners in way of advice, something that they can take to the bank and cash? What is whisper sales?
Good question. Whisper sales is when somebody doesn't want their property marketed, but they just want it to be agent to agent sold.
We were just talking about that in today's meeting. One of the loan officers brought it up. Matter of fact, it was my brother, Preston. He said, I'm hearing a lot of properties that are being sold without even hitting MLS. Mm-hmm. You want to know my thoughts on it?
Yeah.
My transparency. I said, I have a feeling that it's agents not wanting to put in the work for their customers because technically multiple offers will lead to a higher outcome for their buyer or for their lister. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not a realtor, so I don't know. Is that something that's a good thing? Or is it something that, because keep in mind, if it's not on MLS, it really didn't happen. Doesn't go as far as a comp, things of that nature.
You still get paid. So it happened.
Yeah,
so to your point, though, last weekend, we had a $600,000 house that we would call a whisper sale. We had it in the private MLS. We promoted it on social media because you can do that now.
Sure.
You can talk about it. So long as it's in the private MLS, at least you can now talk about it because you can't have coming soons and all that other stuff. We had...
so there are rules against...
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Big time rules. Big time rules now. We had multiple showings in one day and we had multiple offers and we did sell for over asking price. So
that
your
worked.
theory's a little skewed.
Yeah.
It works. It does work. But many times, though, it could be for health reasons. It could be for personal reasons. It could be for privacy reasons. Yeah. Whatever. It's a myriad of things.
Now, when you guys have properties like that don't technically sell on the MLS, I mean, does that bother you in any way? Because obviously this is something either you're going to recommend to the customer because they're requesting privacy or something like that, or they're going to request it from you and there's nothing you can really do about that. You can try and convince them, but really any other convincing has to do with our benefit of it going down as a listed comp.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
I think it depends. I mean, if you explain it to your client and they understand the pros and cons, because it is a strategy at the end of the day, like for this particular property he was talking about, they wanted a 6-month lease back.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So putting it on the private MLS and stating that gave them an opportunity to sell now, get their cash in hand and lease it back, and then be free to go look and buy whatever they want. So it made sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it really just depends on the situation. You know, everyone has different, but you know, you do definitely have to do the right thing by your client as a fiduciary and say, hey, you're going to get more if you go on the open market. However, you know, sometimes it's not always money.
No, you're
sometimes
right.
for them it was convenience.
Yep.
So it's just like all these iBuyers, you know, they're buying up properties for pennies on the dollar from people who just don't want to deal with it. They just want their cash and go.
Absolutely. And I'm glad I asked that question because I'm always learning as well. And I had one perception of it, but didn't have the full gamut of why that is important. And I think that, as you mentioned, the privacy of the borrower, whatever the reason that they're requesting that, that's to their benefit. And we have to respect that at the end of the day. Now, do you feel as though it alters the course of future purchases in those situations?
I always put mine in the MLS at the end.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
So I update it and put for comp purposes only.
Gotcha.
So it has the data in there to help a neighbor.
So that is a key factor for any agent that is out there listening to this. If you have a situation like that, it is okay, and you correct me if I'm wrong, to put it in the MLS as a comp. So that way it helps future agents in that same conundrum.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Absolutely.
That's something I don't think many people know.
Yeah. We've done that with all of ours. We just
That's
go
awesome.
straight to pending sold, and then that way they have it.
No, that's awesome. So that being said, guys, we've gotten some great information out of this discussion. Is there anything that you guys want to tell our listeners? Anything that they, again, can take to the bank in cash?
Take to the bank in cash. It's a hard market right now, and everyone thinks all realtors are crushing it. They're not. There's lots of realtors that are out there not crushing it, not doing well. There's business for everyone. We love to do stuff like this to share our experiences, pay it forward to someone else. All I can say is, don't give up. This is a hard business. I know it's not for everyone, but the benefits of it are just amazing. The relationships that you can get from this business and what could create, from being in this industry are amazing. Friendships like ours.
Absolutely.
Connections. It's wonderful. I will do this till the day I die.
That's
to be honest
awesome
with you. So
I love it.
Anyone that's out there struggling, just don't give up. Keep on doing it. Keep on grinding. Take some of these tips that we've shared today and that you've brought up, because those are all tools that'll help someone succeed.
100%.
Do the work.
I would say if anybody is selling in this market, read Gary Keller's book, Shift. Because we are in a shift. It's a different shift than 2008, but it's very much a shift. And it will shift again. And there are so much opportunities in those tiny months where look at when COVID hit, like 2019, 2020, when we were like in a basic recession and nothing was selling. And then boom, we haven't stopped
the
since.
switch. Yeah, absolutely.
The water faucet was turned.
There was a pocket of time where you could freaking crush it. Yeah. You could buy a property and then mint money 2 months later. It was crazy. So that will happen again. But you have to know your market. You have to study it every day. You need to know how many listings are coming on the market, because they are every day. They're still coming on the market. How many are selling? Know your market and read that book. And then when you see that shift happen, you'll know to take advantage of it and get ready.
And I think that to close out with that, I think if you as a buyer's agent, listing agent, are going to continue to follow the masses, you will end up where the masses will end up. And in order to be successful and separate yourself from the rest, you've got to go away from the pack. Yeah. You've got to think differently than what everybody else is. If you see everybody going left, figure out how to go right and why, and how you can capitalize on that opportunity. Because like you said, there's always opportunities. It's just whether or not you see them.
Yep.
So guys, thank you very much for joining me on this show. It was a great discussion. For those of you listening, if you got something out of this, please make sure to like, subscribe, share with a friend. We're doing this truly to educate, to pull back the curtain on things that you don't typically get to hear. And for those realtors or lenders listening, by all means, guys, take some of the things that we have talked about today and implement them. This is intended to help you. Also intended to help me as far as therapy. It's much cheaper. So without further ado, you guys, thank you for tuning in. We will catch you on the next one. I'm Mark Jones, your host, and make today count.